Story 1: The Haunting of Whispering Woods. The Skinwalker's Curse. In a small, isolated town nestled deep within the dense, eerie woods, a sinister legend whispered from generation to generation to generation, sent shivers down the spines of all who called it home. The tale spoke of the Skinwalker, a malevolent creature that could take on the form of any animal or human it desired. On a moonless night, under a sky filled with ominous clouds, a group of adventurous friends decided to test the legend's validity. Sarah, the bravest of them all, had grown up hearing stories of the Skinwalker and couldn't resist the urge to confront the fear that had haunted her since childhood. With flashlights in hand, they ventured deep into the woods, guided only by the faint glow of the moonlight filtering through the dense canopy. An unnatural stillness hung in the air, and the usual chorus of nocturnal creatures had fallen silent. The forest seemed to be holding its breath. As they ventured deeper into the darkness, a rustling sound echoed through the trees. Sarah's heart raced, but she pressed on, leading her friends with unwavering determination. Suddenly, they stumbled upon an ancient, weathered totem covered in strange symbols. Sarah recognized it from the stories, a warning from the past. Ignoring the ominous marker, they continued their journey until they reached an eerie clearing where an inexplicable chill enveloped them. In the pale light, they saw a figure standing at the edge of the clearing. It was a grotesque amalgamation of human and animal features, its eyes reflecting an unnatural, malevolent intelligence. The Skinwalker unleashed an otherworldly shriek that sent chills through their souls. Panic seized them and they ran, but the creature was faster. It transformed into a wolf with fur as dark as the night itself, pursuing them relentlessly. The friends' screams filled the air as they raced through the haunted forest, their flashlights flickering in desperation. One by one, the Skinwalker caught up to them, each time taking on the form of a creature they held dear. It whispered their deepest fears and secrets, tearing at the bonds of friendship that had once held them together. In the end, only Sarah remained, her terror and loneliness palpable. As the creature closed in, Sarah remembered the totem, and with trembling hands, she reached into her bag and pulled it out. She thrust it toward the Skinwalker, who screeched in agony and vanished in a cloud of dark mist. Sarah stumbled back to town, forever changed by her encounter with the Skinwalker. No one would ever venture into those woods again, and the legend would live on as a warning to those who dared to challenge the supernatural forces lurking in the shadows. Story 2: Desert's Whisper. The Skinwalker's Curse. Unveiled in the desolate expanse of the Arizona desert, far from the prying eyes of civilization, a remote Navajo reservation was plagued by a relentless terror. The malevolent presence of the Skinwalker, the malevolent presence of the Skinwalker. Elena, a young anthropologist with a fascination for Native American folklore, arrived at the reservation, eager to study the rich cultural heritage of the Navajo people. She had heard whispers of the Skinwalker legend, but dismissed them as superstition. Little did she know that her skepticism would soon be shattered. Her research began innocently enough as she immersed herself in the community, documenting stories and traditions. But as she delved deeper into the tribal archives, she uncovered unsettling accounts of encounters with the dreaded Skinwalker. Locals spoke of inexplicable disappearances and livestock found mutilated under the eerie glow of the moon. One moonless night, while she was alone in her trailer, typing up her notes, Elena heard a soft, haunting melody drifting on the wind. Mesmerized and curious, she followed the ethereal tune into the desert, her flashlight casting eerie shadows on the barren landscape. The tune led her to an ancient, crumbling cave, the entrance obscured by a thorny, twisted thicket. She pushed through the thorns, her heart pounding with anticipation. Inside, the cave was adorned with cryptic symbols and animal bones. As she ventured deeper, she felt a presence closing in. It whispered her name in a haunting, echoing voice. Turning to leave, she found herself to face with a grotesque figure, the skinwalker. Its form shifted with nightmarish fluidity from a hunched human to a nightmarish creature with glowing predatory eyes. Frozen in terror, Elena watched as it closed in, its shape mirroring that of a raven. She could hear it mimicking the voices of her loved ones, luring her into a web of deceit. But Elena remembered a piece of advice from the Navajo elder she had met. She reached into her bag and retrieved a small pouch containing sacred herbs. With trembling hands she ignited them and let the smoke envelop the cave. The skinwalker shrieked in agony as the smoke seared its unnatural flesh, forcing it to retreat into the shadows. Elena made her escape, vowing never to return to the cursed cave. She left the reservation forever changed, her once skeptical mind haunted by the knowledge that some legends held a chilling truth. The skinwalker's presence lingered in the desert, a constant reminder of the ancient malevolent forces that roamed the world in darkness. Story 3: Whispers in the Wilderness. Confronting the skinwalker's terror, deep in the heart of the Appalachian wilderness, an isolated cabin stood as a sanctuary for those who sought solitude. It was a place where the lines between the mundane and the supernatural blurred, and the legend of the skinwalker was all too real. Amelia, a reclusive writer, had retreated to this cabin in search of inspiration. She reveled in the isolation, finding solace in the eerie stillness of the forest. Yet as the days turned into weeks, she couldn't ignore the mounting unease that settled over her. One night, while she sat by the dim glow of the fireplace, the cabin's walls seemed to creak with an unnatural rhythm. The air grew heavy and shadows danced menacingly. Amelia's heart quickened as the legends of the skinwalker came to life before her eyes. A voice both familiar and alien whispered from the dark corners of the room. It spoke her deepest fears, her darkest secrets, and promised to reveal her innermost desires. Paralyzed by terror, Amelia felt a presence looming closer, its form ever shifting. Desperate to escape, she grabbed a small, ornate Navajo knife she had acquired during her travels. With trembling hands, she etched protective symbols onto the cabin's wooden beams. As she completed the last symbol, the room shook with a deafening roar, and the malevolent presence screamed in agony. Amelia ventured outside, clutching the knife and a handful of sacred herbs. She found herself in a clearing where the skinwalker took on the form of a monstrous, grotesque beast. It lunged at her with unearthly speed, but she fought back, brandishing the knife and unleashing the power of the sacred herbs. The skinwalker writhed and howled in pain, its shape contorting and shifting. Amelia stood her ground, reciting ancient chants she had discovered in her research. With a final bone-chilling scream, the creature dissolved into a dark mist, vanishing into the night. Amelia returned to the cabin, her heart still pounding with fear. She knew the skinwalker would forever haunt her dreams, a reminder of the sinister forces lurking in the shadows. The cabin, once a refuge, had become a place of unspeakable horrors, and she would never forget the night the skinwalker tested the boundaries of her courage and sanity. Story 4: Beneath the Bayou's Veil. Confronting the skinwalker's curse in the remote, fog-shrouded swamps of Louisiana. A group of friends embarked on a treacherous journey into the heart of darkness, where the legend of the skinwalker was whispered with dread. Jessica, a fearless adventurer, and her companions had always been drawn to the eerie stories of the bayou. They believed it was time to unravel the truth, unaware of the horrors that awaited them beneath the cloak of night. Their journey led them deeper into the labyrinthine swamps, where the dense fog seemed to seep into their bones, filling them with an unshakable chill. The croaking of frogs and the distant hooting of owls created an eerie symphony that echoed through the mist. As they ventured further, strange occurrences became a daily ritual. Objects vanished without a trace, and the flickering shadows seemed to come alive. But it was the voices that haunted them most, eerie whispers that echoed through the trees, promising secrets from beyond the grave. One moonless night, as they huddled around their flickering campfire, the voices intensified. The fog thickened, obscuring their vision. It was then that they saw it, a grotesque figure emerging from the mist, its form twisted and unnatural. The skinwalker's presence was suffocating, its eyes gleaming with malevolence. It assumed the appearance of their worst nightmares, taunting them with memories of long-buried fears. Panic set in as they realized they were trapped in the heart of the bayou, miles away from any help. Desperation led Jessica to remember stories passed down by the Cajun elders. She frantically recited an incantation and threw a pouch of sacred herbs into the fire, creating a blinding burst of smoke and sparks. The skinwalker screeched in agony, writhing and shifting in the ethereal flames. Their opportunity came, and they fled through the swamp, guided only by the dim glow of the moon. The skinwalker's haunting cries echoed behind them, but they pushed onward, determined to escape its malevolent grasp. Days later they emerged from the swamp, forever changed by their nightmarish encounter. The legend of the skinwalker lived on in their nightmares, a grim reminder that some secrets should remain buried and some places should never be explored. Story 5, Into the Abyss of the Skinwalker. A tale of unending terror in the desolate, forgotten corners of the American Southwest. There existed a place untouched by time, where the malevolent spirit known as the Skinwalker held sway over the land. This was a tale whispered only in hushed tones, for those who dared speak its name knew the consequences of inviting darkness into their lives. A group of thrill-seekers drawn by the allure of forbidden knowledge ventured into the heart of this cursed land. Their leader, Victor, had always scoffed at superstitions and relished the idea of conquering fear itself. Little did they know that their journey would become a descent into the abyss. Their first night in the wilderness, the moon hung low, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance with the wind. In the distance, they heard a mournful howl that sent shivers down their spines. Ignoring the warning signs, they pressed on, their flashlights piercing the inky blackness. As they reached a forsaken burial ground, marked only by time-worn stones and desolate whispers in the wind, they stumbled upon an ancient relic, an intricately carved obsidian totem adorned with symbols of the skinwalker. Ignoring the ominous marker, they continued deeper into the darkness. Their campfire provided a false sense of security as stories of the skinwalker were exchanged. Victor laughed them off, dismissing them as mere tales. But as the night grew colder, their laughter faded into nervous glances. It was then that they heard it, a guttural, inhuman growl emanating from the shadows. Panic set in as their flashlights flickered and died, plunging them into total darkness. The ground trembled beneath them as the skinwalker's presence grew palpable. One by one, the members of the group disappeared into the night, taken by the shape-shifting entity. Victor was left alone, paralyzed by terror. The skinwalker, now assuming a form both grotesque and seductive, whispered promises of power and immortality into his ear. Desperate to escape, Victor reached into his bag and retrieved an ancient Navajo relic, a vial of consecrated liquid said to repel the skinwalker. He flung it toward the skinwalker. He flung it toward the creature, and it recoiled, shrieking in agony. But the battle was far from over. As the skinwalker closed in, it took on the form of Victor's deepest fears, his darkest regrets. He knew it could never truly be defeated. Its malevolence would endure. With the last ounce of his strength, he ignited a flare, bathing the clearing in searing light. The skinwalker howled in agony and retreated into the shadows, vanishing with the night. Victor, battered and broken, emerged from the wilderness, the sole survivor of the doomed expedition. The horror of that night haunted him, and he knew that the Skinwalker's curse would forever be a part of him. The legend endured, a grim reminder that some terrors could not be vanquished, only endured in the depths of one's soul.